So what are we doing here? So there you go. It's now complete. All the scaffolding done. So the other thing that we've got to do up here is obviously clean up and joint and repair, but we've got these little windows here. We've got to replace them somehow. So we're at the very top of this church spire now. Not one for the faint-hearted up here. I don't mind, of course. And a very warm welcome. Right, this week, it's now Wednesday. We've lost Monday and Tuesday because of the weather. We lost half a day today as well, but I managed to get the hoarding up on the old church job. Also, the Lytham job has had some of the scaffolding removed. So I'll show you a couple of pictures of that now, if you like. Oh. Whoa. Well, we're not quite up yet with the scaffolding, because as we all know, we've just had a major storm. So I'm waiting on the scaffolders to come back. I was hoping they'd come today, but they haven't. I think we've probably got another lip, maybe two, to go on that, and then it's up. But I've put my little hoarding around the bottom now, which the scaffolder's probably not happy about, but I need to crack on, you know, time's ticking. Well, Thursday morning, I'm sat outside the job waiting for the client. I've arranged to come this morning, but there doesn't seem to be anybody in. I hope they haven't forgotten. Right, that's that bit dumbed out. And a very good morning, everyone. So what are we doing here? Right, well, job started off, the chap accidentally backed his car into the bay, his brand new car. So outside, pushed all the brickwork in, broke loads of bricks, etc. I've dealt with that, I've rebuilt it, that's done. Inside, it was a case of just replaster. Slight problem. The top edge, as I suspected, to be honest, had the stone sill running through. It was wet through. They were having damp issues. So I've taken it all back to brick, as you probably noticed there. And then I put some 8-inch DPC right the way around that. I've undercut the stone and slided 8-inch DPC between stone and brick. So nothing can now go down or across with that stone regarding moisture. And then sand and cement, waterproofer in it. Well, dubbing coat on. I'll give it a second coat in about half an hour. Straighten it up. Give it a light scratch. Skim it with a bit of the old gypsum tomorrow. Yeah, well, you know, it's just one of those jobs, isn't it? starts off little and ends up big. So that's all I've got to do here today. So probably another couple of hours and I'll be done and on my way to the next one. It's Friday, by the way. So some of you are probably thinking, why is he dubbing out that bay? Well, the reason is it's quite thick. So the idea is you put a slightly thinner coat on, you scratch it, you let it pull in, and then you put another coat on top of that, and again let it pull in, float it up, ready for the finish. Now some of you lads out there are in the game and you know all about that, but there's also young lads out there that are great at skimming, they're brilliant at dabbing and skimming, etc. But when it comes to floats, they're a bit like, I've never done it, or I've only done a tiny bit at college, and they don't really know, any of these sort of do's and don'ts with it. So if you've got, for example, a really, really thick float you've got to put on, and you try and attack it with one coat, with the old sand and cement, what it's going to do is it's going to flop over at the top. It's not going to work, So you put on that dubbing out coat, let it pull in, and then put on your finishing float coat. I hope that helps somebody out, some young lad that's, trying to learn the job. Right, so this particular bag is semi-round. So you can't grab your stuff and go straight up. You have to go that way. It's very awkward to do if you've never done one. Oh dear, excuse me. Went the wrong way. Right, so start at one end. Keeping it nice and even as we go. The flatter we get it now, the less work we have to do later. Nice creamy mix. For any of you novices that are wondering what this particular gauge is, it's a ratio of 4 of sand, which is a plastering sand, to 1 of Portland cement. It's got a waterproof additive in it, which also acts as an admix. Walk that way like that, and then bring it across using your trowel a bit like a straight edge, following the top of the skirting board. Bit of a messy job, but it'll come off the carpet, I'm sure. And of course we're doing this because the advanced scaffolding on that church still isn't completed. It's taking forever. Not because the lads are bad or anything, it's just that it's that damned high and that awkward to do. You know, it's a church steeple. However, I went past this morning and the lads were there, and I think we've just got pretty much one lift to do, and that'll be up, which means this one's out of the way and we can get on to the church job next week. Which also means I can get you some videos out of me doing a bit on the top of the world, or the church steeple. We do like a church. Not that we're religious. They tend to be slightly better put together. Although you do get some bits on churches that are a bit iffy. Monday morning jobs probably. Easy. The very top of it, because it's on metal lath, I did it first thing with a quite a strong mix. I did it really dry and I pushed it well in with a small trowel with the sort of intent that that'll dry by the time I come to do this, so it's not flopping over, because it's like that. It's hugely thick. It was brick initially, pushed up to the backside of the stone, but I didn't want to use the brick again because they were saturated, and if I put them back in, I'm going to end up with salt coming through. So I've done it a different way. Equally as solid, if not more. Have a look. Did you see it? Nearly there. And of course it's the wooden bead still on. So all I do with that is I float to it and then I cut it back by about 3mm. So it just exposes the edge. Now it's not a round one, it's not a dowel bead. It's like a flat and then pointed, if that makes any sense to anybody. I have come across them before, so it's not something unusual. I think this house is probably about 1920s, 30s, somewhere around that mark, probably 20s. Because it is sandstone on the bay. In the 1930s they started introducing the old concrete ones around here. which it most definitely isn't. Although some numpty has rendered the stone, which has caused all the problems with the damp. They did ask about knocking it off, and I said, well, the stone underneath might be knackered now. You know, I don't want to get involved. Knock that render off and it's all rotten behind it. So either going to have to get new stone, a whole new bay in, which I don't fancy doing. Just don't have time for that. And the other scenario is I have to end up re-rendering it, which I don't want to do either. So, oops, daisy. All the way to the top of that skirting, so we have a nice even margin on the top of that skirting right the way around. Looks very professional if you do that. Okay, bit of a question. How do I know it's plumb? Well, the simple answer is I don't. Because what I'm doing is I'm following the underside of the windowsill that has a bead of paint and crap and everything on, which was the level of the existing plaster. And I'm following the skirting board. So we're basically putting it back to exactly where it was. So whether it's plumb, it's not plumb. We're not bothered. And to be quite honest with you, it probably is plumb. You know, I've got that very experienced eye, and I can kind of see it's plumb. So I'm not too bothered. I've just started to flop on the top edge there because it's too thick. So I'll just push it in with my fingers, stop it folding over, and we'll leave that now for a good while. And before we go, we'll just tuck a little bit in there with this. But the rest of it, it's all nipped up nice, the rest of it. But this very end top here was extremely thick, hence it flopping over. Yeah. There you go, it's all on. So we'll leave that now, probably I'd say because of its thickness about an hour, and then we'll straighten it up a little bit with the old devil float and give it a light scratch with the devil float with a few nails in the end of it, and that's then ready for skimming. So meantime, it's a good clean up, wash down the skirting boards and make it look like we've not been here. Ready for tomorrow. So we're at the very top of this church spire now. Not one for the faint-hearted up here. I don't mind, of course, but some of you might. Fair old height, about 80 foot off the ground. Anyway, we've got all this to clean. A bit of a repair to do there, and then line point it up. Yeah. It's a fair old way up. Bit of a panorama there of St Anne's. Now if we zoom in there, you can just see the church tower. That's the one I did a couple of years ago. So the other thing that we've got to do up here is obviously clean up and joint and repair, but we've got these little windows here. We've got to replace them somehow. So I'm not quite decided what to do with them yet. I need to get some metal frames made up, or get some timber ones done or something. But we'll have a think on that. A lot of open joints. I've got my work cut out on this one. But first job is going to be a clean. Get all a good clean with the old carbon remover and algae remover and all that sorts of stuff. Get it looking fresh. Get joints chased out and start line pointing. Well, I hope you enjoyed this week's video. Wasn't the video I wanted to bring you. I wanted to bring you obviously one on this church job, but because of the weather etc, we've been delayed with the scaffolding. However, it's now finished. So as from next week we shall be on the church job. So I hope you've enjoyed this week's little tete-a-tete. Bits and pieces. If you have, don't forget those all important thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe if you've not already done so. Well, thanks for watching, chaps and chapettes, and we shall see you next week for another episode of Buggering About with Old Buildings, a church. So there you go, it's now complete. All the scaffolding done.